Welcome everyone to our May 11th, 2022 Planning Board meeting. Can we please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Steve, would you please take the roll call?
Chairman John Curry.
Here.
Vicky Gannon.
Here.
Nancy Garbino.
Here.
Dennis McNamara. Absent. Jack Mattis.
Here.
Bruce Prince.
Here.
Christopher Zaberto.
Here.
Thank you. First on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from April 13th, 2022. I believe we did have one change, which you brought up and she made. So
Yes.
Two changes.
What was the other one?
Code 150.
Well, actually, we just discussed that code in the actual minutes. It was the other way. So I'm not so sure we
No,
can
it
change
was-
the minutes.
It was incorrect in the minutes.
Yes, but that's how the minutes were presented. We can't change that because that's the way the minutes were put. If the minutes gave a wrong thing of the code, we cannot change that, right?
Is the question whether the wrong section was cited during the discussion?
The way the
During
minutes
the
were presented, it
discussion.
was the wrong section.
No, it was listing, it was the agenda
The
item.
agenda,
and it was
you read off the
listing-
agenda. Sorry. Nancy, go
It
ahead.
was listing the agenda item for the way we always list the agenda item under the code under which and the reasons it was being, and it listed the wrong code classically as section 50, which it is not.
I know, but I'm just saying that that's the way the minutes were presented, and then we caught the error.
Yes,
Well, we can't change the minutes.
Yeah, the minutes is
The minutes was-
archive of what was discussed.
Correct.
We discussed it as the wrong code.
So we can acknowledge there was an error.
We
in
acknowledge
that-
it was an error, but we
that's
can't change the
tonight,
minutes,
But we can't change the fact that we discussed it
Correct.
in the wrong context then.
right? I mean,
And that will
No,
be,
it's-
this discussion will be in the
Today's-
minutes for
Today's
this
minutes.
meeting
Right.
that corrects the record.
right. So
So I will vote.
with the one change, that
You're right.
Right.
One change or a caveat to that,
That-
that it was discussed as and presented with the wrong code.
correct. And then also the item Jack brought up, which was corrected.
that's not right.
Sir, second,
Second the motion.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next is our project review for the Mastroni Brothers application for steep slopes, subdivision, stormwater management, erosion control permits for the subdivision of a 5.6 acre parcel into 2 lots. And for the record, the property is located in an R80 zone. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Paul Lynch from Putnam Engineering, and I represent the owners for the property. We've been here before you before. It's very straightforward 2-lot subdivision. We have shrunk the house and moved it from where we had previously shown it so that we could cut down on our area of disturbance. We are now under 1 acre of disturbance on that lot. Lot number 2, I believe it's going to be 0.92 acres of disturbance. That may shrink a little bit more because the Westchester County Health Department has changed their design standards for on-site wastewater treatment systems. So the linear footage of fields actually is going to be decreased. So I'll have a smaller septic footprint. And the total disturbance on the property is now, I think, 1.77 acres as we're representing it. The New York State DEC deemed this as being they're going to look at it in terms of it being in conjunction with the Lot 1 development, which is underway. So we were required to do the stormwater quality review as part of our design. And we are proposing infiltration and rain gardens for Lot 1 to handle our stormwater runoff. We prepared a drainage study. I believe our runoff is reduced from the present day conditions because we've added some minor detention, which would be created at the driveway where we tie it back into the existing road. And all in all, it's a pretty straightforward project.
Before we hear from Wood and Kern, I just wanted, for the record, I forgot to mention, this property's address is 2 Amawalk Road, Amawalk Point Road. Sorry. Steve?
Thank you. Yeah. And I know you haven't had a chance to review or digest our comments, but they were really around adding some additional detail around stormwater management. We were looking for an existing conditions plan, especially since we're in the watershed here. DEP is aware of the project, and we want to make sure that the application meets DEP criteria. There were some additional SWIP related updates, inspection and maintenance, some details on inverts, some other dimensions and some slopes that needed to be added to the design set, and they're detailed in our memo. There's some other minor technical comments about making sure that the submittal to us has a PE stamp. Do you believe that this will also require a tree removal permit application?
Yes.
Okay.
So we have prepared one. We just haven't submitted it yet.
Okay. Thank you.
The only question I have with submitting a tree removal permit, since the subdivision's in essence not complete, I don't have a lot or an address when you're filling out the document. I mean, I tend to think you would submit the tree removal permit when you're going in for your building permit,
I think that's
the actual
probably,
document itself.
I think that Steve Wolfel, who processes those, can
But we'll
provide some input on that, but that sounds.
We'll submit it.
Yeah.
The other question I had is with regards to signing and stamping drawings, since everything is put online now, I don't know if any other engineers have ever brought this up to you, but personally, I'd rather not stamp and sign a drawing that goes online, because somebody can download that drawing and now they have my stamp
Yes.
and my signature. And you put the professionals, all communities do this, but you put us in a slightly kind of precarious position where if somebody takes my stamp and seal, puts it on their drawing, files it somewhere on the other side of the river.
I'm just going to counter that with when your drawings are submitted, they're public record.
Correct.
So anyone would have access to it anyway.
If they come in and look at it.
Correct. But it's public record. So I don't.
Well, my issue was, can you Xerox it?
They wouldn't have a copy.
They can
of
get
the
a copy
actual
of it.
seal. They can request a copy.
Of course, it's public record. Absolutely. I mean, I understand your concern about it being easier to access online. I mean, maybe this is something for further discussion or for our town attorneys to take a look at. But, I personally, I don't see the difference. I understand your concern. It's valid. But again, being that it's public record, it's not sealed. Anyone can come in, walk in, request a copy of it. They have your signature and your seal if they really wanted to get it.
I would think it's an issue for the New York State Department of State because they're the licensing.
Correct.
It's the New York State Department of Education,
Yes.
and they have,
For engineers, right?
yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
and they have guidelines around how to apply an electronic stamp, but they do allow them.
It's, you bring it up, but so you know how important it is for us. I've only been on this board 15 years and already I've dealt with 2 expired licenses and 3 out of state.
We
So
we do
it's
check.
important.
And we had
And it
an
was
uncertified
discovered,
engineer
and it was
too.
discovered
The-
by examining online. So
the-
it's a plus and a
The
minus.
paper copies that I submit, I do sign and stamp. So if you collect 4 or 5 sets of paper copies, those are signed and stamped. I was just looking to see if we could avoid putting it online.
No, I understand. I
That's all.
just meant how important the license is to us over the years.
I think we can review
It's been a
that with
lot.
planning board attorney to see what's appropriate.
That we may be able to redact,
Sure.
as long as the original is accessible,
Yeah.
we may be able to redact it and then place it on the town website. And then now it is not, there is no seal on it, but it is the plan itself. I don't know. Again, that's something that Roland would probably have to point on,
Roland or Joe?
or Joe, right? exactly.
Yeah, and I would say too, this is Joe Ariel, that the the original is the important thing, right? And the fact that it can potentially be duplicated from an electronic version still leaves that duplicator with an electronic version. It's not the same as an original. And, you know, you can never really fully protect yourself from somebody who's willing to commit fraud. You know what I mean? So I think I understand the point. And as an attorney, I go through this sometimes too, where it feels a little uncomfortable, but I do think it's the world we're living in. And I would also, as other people have done, just kind of refer actually to the Department of Education, because I bet you they get inquiries like this a lot. And so you might want to go to them.
Beyond there being some technical comments and areas of the application that we think need additional detail to be provided, given that the applicant is going to be making some further revisions, especially to the stormwater pollution prevention area. My suggestion would be that a resubmittal next month probably gets these addressed, and that would be an appropriate time to schedule a public hearing pending the board's discretion.
After the resubmittal.
That would be my input, but it's obviously the board's decision.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, Bruce?
Yeah.
For the timing? Okay. You all right with that?
I'm fine.
Okay.
We'll make the changes.
All right.
Certainly let us know if you have any comments. I know that
Did-
you just received our comment letter today or yesterday. Whatever it was.
Dave, you have any comments?
No comments.
Okay. You have anything else on this one?
We're done with this one.
Okay. And next is the application at 12 Hillside Drive to widen and.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I
I have a
forgot the whole
question.
board. I apologize.
No, that's all right. I have a question from the engineer.
Yes.
I'm assuming that the road is still a private road, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. One thing I never understood is how do you account, I understand stormwater and I understand this property is approximately 90 feet over the level of the reservoir and the importance of the ponds and what you're doing with the water. How, because it's a private road, it suddenly dawned on me, how do you deal with a large snowstorm since it isn't the town that's going to be plowing it?
I'll defer to the engineer, but generally the homeowners along in that roadway will contract with a private snow removal service. Do you know? more
That's
detail about
pretty much what happens. Yes.
Right, and there's, you know, I'm familiar with what we do in creating space before a big snowfall, you know, thinking of your wife from upstate Buffalo, knowing how they do it up there. I assume that there's space for a big snowstorm plow.
Yes. Yeah. There's
I know it
places
was
to
done a
push the
long
snow.
time ago,
Yes.
Yeah, the town is, the road is of a standard width
Yeah,
with adequate
in
shoulders and
case it
space
ever
on the end.
goes taken over.
And that was reviewed by the board
Long
when the
time ago.
original
Yeah.
lots were put in. Yes.
Right. I know a huge retention pond was built out on Route 35. It took them a long time to get the approval for that.
Yes.
And that's what made me think of it. Okay.
And that's okay. I apologize for ignoring the board as we're moving on to the second item. But just to follow up on that, they had to originally conform to town road standards, which I guess would have obviously been wide enough to take care of any snow.
Correct.
Yeah.
So are there any board member comments? Bruce, you okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So second is Mastrooni Brothers Inc. Wetland and Watercourse Protection Permit applications for the improvements in the vicinity of 12 Hillside Drive. It's approximately 550 linear feet of Hillside Drive from the intersection of Overhill Road, for the record.
Yes. We are looking to widen the road out to 16 feet and put in some stormwater management practices as best we can in terms of being able to fit within the room that we have to work with. The site itself, the lot, will have its own stormwater planners to deal with the roof runoff. And then there'll be like a sedimentation type detention pond that is located down in the middle of the road in that area. And we made it as large as we could physically make it. We've added, I think we pretty much addressed all of the town's comments. There's a couple that are still open but I think they're at this point are just kind of minor.
Steve?
Sure. Yeah, there are just some very minor technical comments. I wanted to ask, in your layout of design options for this, or actually, let me back up. Has this plan with the turnaround at the end of it been reviewed by the fire prevention board, or is that a step you intend to go through? Or
I do not know.
Okay.
I didn't know if we were supposed to submit that if it was done internally.
I'll
From the
discuss
town.
that with Steve Wolfel and
Okay.
with Tom Tuma. One just design tweak that I thought you might consider is whether that hammerhead can be constructed such that it uses perhaps a widened driveway
On our lot.
on your lot.
Yes.
And or kind of reconfiguring it to stay within the right of way, perhaps if it's at an angle and uses the lot as a backup space, rather than getting into the town-owned parcel next to it.
It would fit. Yeah, I did. I looked at that today.
I think that would reduce your overall impervious area and keep it a little bit tighter and probably a little bit cheaper to construct.
Mhm.
Would be our recommendation that you consider that, or let us know why that can't be done.
No, that's doable. I mean, because basically if a fire truck was coming to this particular site, they're driving up the driveway and in essence doing the turning movement in reverse and backing out. The only question was ever if a fire truck had to go to the last person on the road, they're backing down and turning in. So whether or not you want the turn to be on the applicant's driveway or not.
I think we want to spot
Would you
that it can be done.
Okay.
I think our technical concern with the way it's laid out here is it turns it into the turnaround area becomes a great parking spot for guests, for a homeowner's boat, whatever it might be, and hence wouldn't be normally accessible without striping and things like that I'm not sure are in your client's best interest to try to maintain. So if we can tighten that up a little bit and with the input, and again, we'll review with Mr. Wolfel and Mr. Tuma. The Fire Prevention Board has commented on turnaround space on dead ends for other recent applications. And we would want you to have one trip back here and no more for that with their input.
But yes, we can. It will fit on the lot.
Does the turnaround protrude to the downhill side of the existing road? Or is that that slope remain as it is?
The slope remains as is.
Okay.
Yeah, there's on the opposite side of the street, there is that pretty much like an 8-foot wide, 10-foot wide, unpaved, in essence,
Right.
flat area that we don't account for other than, yes, you can park there.
So that will still exist.
That would still exist, yes. Excuse me.
Just curious, if this application wasn't before us, the fire truck would not be able to turn around in the existing.
Which has been true for other applications.
Oh, I
that
know,
come
I
before the
know.
board.
Yeah.
The person who lives in the house all the way down the end is a longtime member of the fire department.
Yeah.
Well, and with that common driveway, it's a pretty limited common driveway right now, just for that first piece.
Mm.
So that non-conformance is greater with this, and so that's, I think, the with this new lot, which is the reason to reconsider it.
We'll hold off the public hearing until the resubmittal.
I would just want to make sure that the applicant doesn't have to come back again, and so let's get that I dotted and T crossed with the Fire Prevention Board.
Okay.
If they have any comments, yes.
That's really only the last hurdle, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, beyond that, minor stormwater comment cleanup, but nothing that can't be addressed by the applicant or as conditions of approval.
Dave, any comments before I hear from the board? Board member comments? No?
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you. Can't think of anything else. Steve, last time you and Bruce were talking about the Mets. Would you like to continue that conversation?
Yeah, they're winning.
Or it's early.
I'll defer to Joe and Bruce on that comment.
They're losing.
Any other board member comments? Our next meeting is on Wednesday, June 8th. Again, at 7:30. Obviously, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you.